Yo, 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 what is up? Natalia here. Welcome to chapter 1 of my virtual workshop where dance and film collide. In today's video, we're really going to explore the differences between dance built for stage and dance built for camera. And I really like to personally categorize dance films into 3 different spaces. In that first category, or in that first space, are dances that are built on stage, for stage, filmed there, but they are using filmmaking techniques to basically make up for the fact that it isn't live. If you've ever just plopped your phone down or your camera down and then danced in front of it, you've realized that it's pretty damn boring, no matter how exquisite you are as a dancer. I once got to do a behind the scenes video with ODC Dance, and I found all of the different things that the choreographers were talking about really interesting in terms of this contrast between dances built for camera and dances built for stage, because this was a stage piece that they were putting onto film. And one of the choreographers, Kate Weir, talked about the animalistic, visceral quality of dance and how to capture that on film. And I think that's the thing we're often missing when we just plop that camera down. So in order to, in a sense, combat that and bring back in the excitement and tension of live performance, we use many different camera angles. We punch in, we pull out, we give the audience that sense of intimacy using the camera that they would normally get by being in the physical presence of dance. So for me, that is kind of our first category of dance film, is a kind of direct translation, one-to-one, but trying to capture the emotion and the excitement alongside capturing the movement of dance. Clowns by Ho Fesh, I think, is a really, really good example of category number 2. This is a dance that is built for stage, on stage, but there's also another layer there of the filmmaker getting to explore their art form. We kind of see this wah, wah, wah sensation created by the camera, of that focus kind of being shifted back and forth, that sense of dreaminess. All of that is being created not just by the dancers, but by how this is being filmed. The third category is really what we're going to be focusing on today, because I think that this is the most differentiated and therefore the one that we can learn from the most. And that is dances that are specifically built to be on camera and could not exist in any other form. I think the thing that really differentiates those pieces of art from dances on stage, of course, is the camera. So that's what we're going to be focusing on in this film. Framing, composition, and camera movement, and how by adding the duet between the dance and the camera, we're able to create a whole new art form. So we're gonna start off with our establishing shot, or our long or wide shot. I'm piling all these together because they're often used together in dance films or interchangeably. The establishing shot you often see at the beginning of a scene or the beginning of a film or a TV show. It's showing us where we are and establishing our mood. Long shots or wide shots can also do this. They're just adding in a human. It's usually that full body human. It can be a super wide shot where we're really far away. We get to see a lot of the landscape, or we just see that person from top to bottom in their surrounding areas. I really want to talk about this because technically speaking, a full body shot, which I'm almost categorizing as its own thing, just seeing really that person from top to bottom and as little environment as possible, that is still considered a long shot. Us choreographers, we love to get to see our choreography. We want to see the full thing. We want to see the feet. We want to see the face. We want to see the arms. And so oftentimes the full body long shot becomes the default in dance. I think there are some really, really beautiful examples where it is used a lot, like this one, Confirmation by MJ. But what I want you to recognize in watching this is that as much as we get to see the dance and the dancers, we also get to see a whole lot of landscape. So it becomes really important to understand what the relationship is between the dancers and the landscape as it's shifting and as it's changing. That is a huge component in what we're taking in as audience. Our bodies are vertical and film is horizontal. The medium shot. In more classic filmmaking, this is considered the personal shot. It is done with a 35 or 50 millimeter lens, if that means anything to you. It is the shot that helps us behind the camera feel like we are in the room with that person at a distance that feels like we can have a conversation with them.
Do you like my sweater?
And that's why this is the shot that's used for interviews, it's used for talking head, it's also used for conversations between characters. It allows us to see the action, but it also really allows us to see the face and the emotions. In dance filmmaking, I think the medium shot has a whole lot of potential. Handsome Trio by MJ. The medium shot is from the torso up, and you see that here, but you see a little bit of a twist on it because our focus is not on the face, our focus is on the hands. So this medium shot cuts off the top of that face so that we know what we're focusing on, and we get to see the expressiveness that's happening here in the hands. And I think that this kind of talks to dance in general. We are not just emoting from our face, we're emoting from our whole bodies. So our medium shot does not have to be about the face. Underfoot. One of those dance films that for me kind of changed my perspective on what is possible and what is exciting in dance film. It's a medium or close-up shot of only the feet the whole time. And how gorgeous and expressive are Mackenzie Dustman's feet. Oh my God, it's so cool. That's, that's dance for you right there. Dance has a lot of feet and it's gorgeous. Doesn't have to be a fetish. It's just damned cool. So I think it's important to remember that as much as we want to learn the art of filmmaking, right? This is a moment when as dance filmmakers, we get to do something a little bit different. The close-up. The close-up is about highlighting a specific emotion or action. I think in classic filmmaking, oftentimes this becomes the thing that gives you away if you're a new filmmaker. It's something I was really scared of for that reason because it can be overused, but here's some really beautiful examples of how it's used perfectly. The first one I want to point out is by Wilder Project. And this is a relationship between two people that is very intimate and soft. And that's what we feel when we have all of these opening kind of montages of close-ups and close-ups between the dancers. We feel that intimacy. We feel like we're right there with them. It almost feels like a point of view in some ways because it's so, so incredibly close. It's really beautiful. Rosas, forgive me for the poor quality of this, but this is a really, really classic film. You should definitely go watch it. And it's really nice the way that they use close-ups here again, right? It's very intimate. It's almost shocking. It both goes into kind of where the action is right there in that moment of the dance, but also is kind of startling. And it's just, pinpoint perfect. The next couple, I'm gonna kind of bunch together. When it comes to classic filmmaking, these become different shots that you definitely wanna use. I think for dance films, these all just kind of become unusual. You wanna capture as many of them as you can, in my opinion. First one is the over-the-shoulder shot. This one is used typically for conversations.
Can I get you something?
Yeah, let's get a coffee.
Okay, that'll be $9.
$9?
So you'll see it in dance films like Sweater, where there's a strong narrative and there's a little bit more classic filmmaking happening here until we kind of get into the world of the dance and then we kind of come back again. But you're having a conversation. You're establishing eye line between the two characters and you're getting to see them. In this other film, Stavropol by Andrew, we also get to do an over-the-shoulder moment that becomes really exciting because these two groups are having a dance-off. They're having a conversation with the dance, so the over-the-shoulder absolutely makes sense and it's really exciting. It's good to remember that also over-the-shoulder is establishing a connection between two things. So it doesn't have to be between two people, it can be between a person and an object or a person and a place as well. Point of view means getting a shot that is meant to represent what the character sees. Again, pretty common in typical filmmaking, a lot less common in dance making, but I think that this can really add to the narrative of getting inside of the character if that's something that you want, and that's used really, really well here in Your Biggest Fan. They also, in this film, do a really, really awesome job of filming from many, many different angles. Not just that point of view, but getting to see that Ouija board clip come down and we see dancing through that. It's just a really beautiful artistic moment. At the beginning of this film, you see a shot where the camera is underneath you watching that dancer, that character jump over. You're having a really nice long gimbal shot where you get to have a moment capturing that dancer in the mirror. There's a lot of really cool and exciting and unusual angles happening here. And so I really highly encourage you to get the camera places where our bodies couldn't fit. I think that this, again, verges into that space of getting to do something on camera that you wouldn't be able to do in a theater. We wouldn't be able to get up really, really high and then get down really, really low and then get into the perfect spot for visual illusion. But these are all things that we can do in dance film back to back to back to back that can heighten our creative exploration in this space. With that said, I'm going to pull up two different films that we're gonna watch from Adi Halfin, a filmmaker who's worked a lot with dance. The first one is a trailer that she did for Batsheva, and in this one, she's exploring framing and cutting off different parts of the body, and from that kind of initial exploration, the dancers then went into this space and figured out different things that they could do. So this one feels like a true collaboration between the filmmaker and the dancer because there's the same exploration in both fields that comes together so beautifully here. The next film by Adi Halfman was created in collaboration with the dancer and actor Bobby Jean Smith. Very well-versed in immersive dance theater, so understands the idea of acting and kind of close contact, and that makes her really, really good on camera. And in this film, they're exploring stillness, and it's done gorgeously. I mean, look at the composition, look at those shots, but maybe even more so than that, the play with gravity here and the sense of magic that's happening both in camera and by the dancer is just absolutely gorgeous. And I think it's just a really, really beautiful collaboration and acknowledgement of what can happen in dance and film when they're put together. All right, now let's dive into a little bit of camera movement. Just to create a quick list, all of the basic things that we can do with a camera. Push in, pull out, pan up, pan down, tilt up and down, We can track, aka move alongside, and we can kind of do a free flow. I don't think that last one's a real one, but I'm gonna add it, especially because I think it happens all the time in dance films. First one is we're gonna be pushing in and tracking. It's usually considered side to side, but in this case, we're doing it forward. We're pushing in and tracking Little Buck as he moves and dances through this modern art museum. And it's a beautiful moment of feeling immersed in this space with him because we are physically moving through these doorways. Then as we get to this big open space, we continue to push in, and you really get a sense of what pushing in does. It creates a more intimate space between the viewer and the character and brings us into that emotional space with them. For this next video, we're gonna look at Amy Gardner, who is just a gorgeous, gorgeous filmmaker. In this one, we're kind of tracking side, getting to see those dancers in their individual spaces, and then we're pulling out to get to see that space as a whole. And also see the relationship between the dancers and between the dancers and the space. And that's what pulling out really does, right? It creates more of that long shot that we talked about earlier and establishes the relationship between all of these different elements. While we're here though, let's go back into one more piece by Amy Gardner where we're pushing in. Again, we're going into that doorway and we're also revealing something. And oh my God, does it feel so incredibly good, this reveal. And then from here, it's kind of a free flow following of that dancer. And I think that's really, really gorgeous. I love it. The only thing I'll say about freeform following is that sometimes the edit out of it can be a little bit awkward. So that's just something to be aware of. Another way that you can track is by rotating around. And again, this one's really nice gimbal shot, moving around. And the thing that I love about this shot, and again, I'm sorry because this Rose's film is not high quality, is when it stops. The timing of that camera. I think that this goes back to kind of what we were talking about before, the duet between the camera and the dance. And the more you can think of it as a duet and choreograph that camera the same way you would choreograph other elements in your dance, the more satisfying you will find this process. I almost entirely guarantee. All that to say, I think that we've learned quite a bit, right, about the different framing that we can use, the different movement that we can use, and hopefully you saw some really amazing pieces that might start to jumpstart what you're thinking that you can do for your piece. If you want to look at the full version of any of these pieces, I am putting links to all of the ones that are available online below. Unfortunately, if I have not linked it, then it's probably not available, but definitely, you know, follow it. I'll have the full name and the creators on there, and you might be able to see it at an upcoming dance film festival. All right, take a beat if you need to, and then come on back because we're gonna get ready for chapter 2, planning your dance film.